Hey everybody, it's Craig from 9 Volt Games, and today it's not going to be about a game. I want to talk about Obsession. Um, Thank you for everybody, by the way, since my mom just passed. Thank you for everybody for saying kind things. Actually, part of the reason I'm doing this video today is because uh, horror movies were my mom's thing, and they were me and my mom's thing when I was a kid before I was adopted, which is why I love horror so much as an adult because I was desensitized because my mom was not such a great role model, but it worked out. She was really sick in the last like 6 months, so I don't even know if she got to see this one. So that's if you're down there, this is for you, mom. Religion's not real. Otherwise, no one in my family's going to heaven. Anyway, I really liked Obsession. Like it's one. I think it's one of my. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite type of movies like that. Like it's one of my favorite horror movies. However, when I was telling people, because people like to get upset about everything, Obsession's not an original idea. Of course, it's not. Like every 10 years, we get a watch what you wish for, be careful what you wish for type of movie. When I was younger, it was Wishmaster. Um, Thinner, Thinner was one of them. Uh, any monkey paw related movie, right? Anything where you get a wish, you know, we progressed because I mean we have comedy movies in that too. Like Big is one of my favorites of those. It's not a horror movie, but it's a be careful what you wish for type of movie. And I think that Obsession took Obsession took two things that I liked and mushed it together. The entire time that you watch the movie, you're watching the backgrounds, you're watching the facial expressions, and you're trying to read the people and figure out like how would this have worked out if you didn't have this? How would this have worked out if this person said this? How would this worked out? Like I like that in movies where it has multiple avenues because then it makes it feel like a video game. And you can tell the person who made it's a gamer, and you can tell the way it was filmed that the person came from YouTube, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I like the direction we're going. Uh, I liked Iron Lung when it came out. I still like Iron Lung. I think it's a fantastic fucking project made by a really passionate dude. But then Obsession came out, or I saw Obsession. I don't know which one came out first. And then, you know, it went through a major studio. I understand the differences of the productions of these, but Obsession is now like a landmark that Cory Booker and his team set. Like it's the bar. Now you have to have this quality or higher. So even if you didn't like the movie, the actual production quality of the movie is now set for like, hey, if they're gonna start giving YouTubers money to make movies, they won't look like the Fred movies. You know what I mean? So there's at least that. So tip of my hat, even though I don't have a tip on my hat, to both of them for that. Now let's talk about the movie, right? In order for I really debated putting this video out or even talking about this because in order to tell you how I feel about this movie and the characters in it, I have to tell myself on the way I used to be. So let me start off by saying, first and foremost, that Bear is a terrible human. He didn't start terrible. He just started weird. Shy, meek, whatever. I'm not going into the whole incel thing. I'm not doing that. That person, Bear, in there, every character in this, I could put a actual face to as somebody I knew. I had a lot of different friend groups. I used to sell drugs, so I bounced around between a lot of friend groups because I was beneficial to have around. But in every friend group, I could pick out a Bear, an Ian. I think the point was I couldn't put a face to a Nikki because the point was she just was Bear's object in the movie or what he wanted. And then the little times where she tried to break through, and then just the small amount of her that you get in the beginning of what her personality is. But I think the whole purpose was that you're not supposed to know who she is because Bear completely disregards her as a human being, you know, once he realizes that his wish came true. So it doesn't really matter what she was like. But then Sarah, all right, so let me do a deep dive into this. Um, this also, I think part of what makes this great is that it's relatable, like I said, where you could, if you have a friend group of 4 or more, you could put a face on each one of these people. Maybe not to each extreme that they act in the movie, but you can. And I have to do this to myself, but in a lot of groups that I was in, I was Ian. Ian is the first bad guy of this movie. Ian and Nikki, technically, but more so on Ian. And here's why. When I was younger, in my friend group, if a new girl came into our group, I can make people laugh. That is an aphrodisiac like you wouldn't believe. I have a lot of confidence, so that works. So I gotta be careful how I say this. I'm not like preying on people, but if I was interested in you, or if I told you jokes and you were laughing at me at a party that you just showed up at, chances are, you know. But if you were one of my friends and you came up to me and said, hey man, this girl and some of her friends are coming to the party, or just this girl's coming to the party tonight, I really like her. You know what I mean? If you're honest and you tell me, that's gonna change. I'll be myself, but then I'll respect the fact that, you know, you like this person. Ian didn't do that. And at the very least, since he has no problem telling secrets, because he went and told about the conversation when he started to get clearly jealous in the movie. I called this out in the beginning of the movie the first time I watched it. I was like, that dude and her are fucking. Like, before I even knew their characters' names, like, solidified in my brain. I was like, they fuck. But he should have told his friend. Because then if he told his friend, he would have either quit their job and left and went and led a different life. He might have killed himself. Or he might have moved on and then realized that there was a gorgeous chick who obviously liked him in their friend group, who genuinely cared about him too. Like the few scenes that you see, she genuinely cared about Bear. What a fucking idiot! And he knew that she liked him. He didn't even care. So here's the part that I like. I read some stuff about this movie. We're getting to Nikki now. Ian is first bad guy. If he had said something, this whole movie wouldn't have happened. If he was like, he didn't even have to say it nicely. When he was being a dick at the diner in the beginning, and he was setting him up to say these things that Nikki doesn't like, and my wife pointed this out when we watched it the second time. She was like, he's telling him to say things that she doesn't like on purpose. So then it kind of leans into, maybe Nikki did like him. And then they have the interaction at the bar, and then in the car when he's like, I bought you something, and she was like, she clearly wasn't into that because no girl wants to be surprised with the dude who she knows likes her. Because it could be some weird shit like, here's a promise ring, or something you get locked into with a guy who's slightly crazy. Yeah. So she knew that he liked her. It was blatantly obvious. Because even before he snapped it and he fucked up his chance to actually be honest, she asked him flat out. And she would not have asked him if she didn't already know. She was just leading in for like, here's your chance to be honest. And my humble opinion was that she was going to let him down gently. Just actually like, all right, let's face the conversation. Let's do it and get it out of the way. Because she was going to quit her job and potentially leave, right? So she didn't give a fuck. Let's rip this Band-Aid off now. But then, Ian starts to get jealous. He's not concerned for her. He's jealous. Once he realizes that, oh shit, like, Nikki actually loves Bear, he gets really jealous. So maybe she did kind of like him. Maybe she said something in passing once, and he was trying to sabotage it. But at the same time, let's talk about Bear for a minute before I go back to any of Nikki's blame. If not, she was the biggest victim of the movie. She absolutely was. The biggest victim of the movie was the music store owner, because he lost all of his employees and his daughter. He didn't do nothing wrong. He gave his daughter's friends jobs, fucked his whole life up. But no, Nikki is obviously the victim of this. So it's hard to really blame her for anything. I wouldn't say she's at fault for anything. Because she even did try to address it before he went and fucking snapped his little one-eyed Willie. And Yeah, she tried to address it. She didn't do anything wrong. Bear, we got to talk about him. So, like I said, there's one person in every group for each one of these. And obviously, in your friend group, there's not a Bear mid to end movie. I would like to think that people wouldn't keep a friend like that knowing that it's around. But in the beginning, though, where he's awkward, maybe he likes somebody in the group and he's never said anything and it's been going on for a really long time, you people exist in the group and you're weird. And when when you're not around, we talk about that. At least when you're younger, when you're in that age group, dude, it doesn't matter. I'm sure when I left, people talked about me. I'm 99% sure. I know people talk about. I left like fucking breadcrumbs for people to talk about me. That way I can control the shit that was being said about me. I don't really care, right? So, but you know, all three of them talk about Bear when he's not around. Which sounds like he would use excuses to get out of things. I know, I do that too, but so he's kind of wrong for being a pussy, I guess. He dragged his feet for too long. That's why I don't get this. It makes me so mad about this. I said I wouldn't go into the incel thing, but this is not... This shit, I've seen this when I was a kid before that word even existed. I had a friend... This is terrible. This is why I didn't want to talk about this movie, is I had to tell it myself. I have a friend, and this is extra awful because he's no longer with us. I dated a girl in like 8th grade, right? And then we stayed friends because when you're in 8th grade, you're just holding hands. And I mean, I was further advanced than other people, but that has to do with more childhood trauma stuff than anything. Anyways, I dated this girl. We all had nicknames, so why not? Her name was Tangerine. And my friend Josh, a couple years later, like 10th grade, he liked her. We were friends. We didn't date or do anything like that since 8th grade. And he really liked her. And he didn't tell anybody. And this girl went away for a while and then came back. And she started hanging out with our friend group again. And we got flirty. He saw that. He didn't say anything to me. Something happened. And then he appeared behind the Knights of Columbus to beat me up. This was in 10th grade. And he did that because he didn't say anything to anybody. And then I even told her, I was like, that's fucked up. Like, he's one of my good friends. If he liked you and you did that, like, you should have talked to me beforehand. And she's like, I had no idea. You know? And it ended up resolving itself. But, like, what the fuck, man? So, that, like, nowadays people do that. And they're like, well, I'm such a nice guy. And she doesn't notice me. Yeah, you have to actually say stuff. You know? Listen, I don't know if you guys do this anymore, but when I was a kid and we had school dances, sometimes a girl would come up to you and ask if you wanted to dance, but 9 times out of 10, the boy had to go up to the girl and ask her to dance. You still got to do that. Even if you're having a communication online, you still have to take the steps, and dudes are afraid to take the steps, and then they'll resort to the most extreme thing that they possibly can, which in this case was him really trying to make a wish that he didn't think was going to happen. And then it happened. And you can't really fault him the first night, because why on earth would you think that would even work? And then you have the Molly story the next day, and he didn't take advantage, so good for him, right? So the first time I'm watching it, I'm like, all right. I was like, maybe, I honestly thought that I wasn't 100% with everything. I didn't look up, wow, I sound like Don Vito, minus the child molestation stuff. I didn't even need to. Listen, so, fuck, I've lost my complete train of thought. The first night, where he wasn't sure what the fuck was going on, and then afterwards he thought that she was on Molly. He didn't take advantage of the situation, and he could have, and he didn't. So why, like, when he started to realize, like, holy shit, this thing actually worked, why did he continue? Like, I know he's the bad guy and that's so the movie can happen, but why the first night when you think she's on drugs? But well, I think it's obviously the power. Once he realized, like, oh shit, I have 100% dominion over this lady. Whew. Sarah was a hardcore victim. All she did was be supportive to her friends. I mean, she's not as extreme as Bear. I actually tried to picture this movie flipped around where she snapped the stick for Bear. That would be. I think that could actually happen. Although she's a little more outgoing and social, so I don't think she has a problem getting dudes. Regardless. So, yeah, Ian and Bear are the bad guys in this. I think Sarah. I mean, because she cared about Bear's cat more than Bear cared about it, because he was not crying about his cat after the cat died. He was crying about Nikki. You know, or did she love him or whatever he was gonna say to finish that sentence, and yeah, she genuinely cared. I'm surprised she didn't say anything about Ian and Nikki fucking. They're all bad friends to each other, all of them. It just Bear's the worst friend to all of them. I would also be interesting to see. Obviously, the wish backfired on Bear because he was irresponsible with his wish, but the guy at the store made a wish and he was fine. Ian made a wish for $1 billion and then he died immediately after, but I don't know if it was because of the wish and it being cursed or what. Man, as soon as that $1 billion started falling from the sky, I would have detached myself from that friend group anyway. I would have been like, these people got some weird shit going on. He obviously knew there was something wrong with Nikki, Ian, because if they were banging and then all of a sudden she just dipped on him. I would also like to see what the conversation was when he brought her home the night after the first night. Crazy. I hope they make another. I hope they make another one of these movies. They not continuing with the same people or even an alternative version, because new people would be nice. A new situation. It doesn't even have to be a romantic one. It can just be a horrible wish gone wrong. I'd be super down with that also. You know, I like the way that it ended because she's so fucked. Even if she was aware of the One Wish Willow's ability to grant wishes, she already used one. So she couldn't even use another one. There's no way out. She either has to blow her brains out or she's going to jail, because there's no way on earth anyone's going to be like... She wouldn't even be able to explain it. The thing that I didn't 100% get is that she kept phasing back in every couple times, like where, you know, she wrote on the picture, it's not me. And then she was talking about she doesn't like sleeping because the dreams are awful. You know, the time when she's in bed and she said, don't wake her up, please kill me. She was asking Bear to kill her. In the two instances where she flipped the fuck out, like, well, what am I doing? I don't know if it's like Get Out, where they're there and they can see everything that's going on, or they just come back in the consciousness for a while. It sounded like her soul was trapped somewhere when she was on the phone. But it would be interesting to know a little more information about that to try and like come up with the ending. I know that's what's the purpose of it, but just think about it. If she was aware of everything that was going on, man, that extra sucks. She'd probably blow her brains out. But if she wasn't aware of everything that happened, only the little pieces where she came back and was like, oh my god, what the fuck's going on? Dude. Insanity. Because even if they were like, dude, you're the only person that's possibly responsible, you grabbed a brick and smashed your friend's face into it. Don't watch that movie up on brightness, by the way, like with the brightness up. It's dark for a reason. The brick scene, when she's smashing Sarah's face into the brick, if you have the brightness up. You can see how squishy the brick is. Don't do that. It'll take away some of the movie magic for you. But yeah, she's absolutely fucked. I think the friend group was kind of a shitty friend group. And it's usually the one that you break out of in your 20s. It's not necessarily a shitty friend group, but you guys definitely got to go your separate directions, and that's all kind of what they were doing in the movie. I don't know. I liked it a lot. Like I said, I would like to see a movie. I would like to see a movie where the product continues with a different set of friends, or just somebody who makes a fucking horrendous wish and it affects everyone around them. I hope they don't Final Destination this shit, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for whatever this guy's gonna make. I was very impressed by this movie, and I would be super honest with you. Like I said, going into it, I didn't know a lot about it. I just saw a couple clips online, and I was like, all right, time to watch it. And I watched it, and enjoyed it. It's definitely one of my up there ones. I was gonna say something, but I don't want to make the wrong comparison. When I think of movies like this, I think of now like the horror ones where I'm like, oh, I'll just watch it. I think of Hereditary, so that kind of opened me up to watching, the non-monster, non-super gory, whatever horror movies, and actually enjoying them. And this definitely came off the back of that. So I enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked it. The only other scary thing about this movie is the take that people are getting. Oh, hold on. Sorry, had cats fighting. So, what was I about to say? I don't even remember. Oh, all the heavy shit at the end, right? The scariest part of this movie is the take that I see some people taking online, where they'll post something about Nikki or a clip of Nikki, and it'll be a girl, and she'll be like, literally me. Like, no. Or you have men defending Bear, just being like, he was just a man, or he was just a lonely man. Be like, nah, he was a rapist. He was a fucking rapist. He raped her, especially since he held off the first night, like I said, because he thought she was on drugs. Once he knew that her fucking complete free will was taken away, he sexually assaulted her. He raped her. He raped her multiple times. He's a horrible piece of shit, and he deserved to die. People don't like that take online, but it's true. Bear deserves to die. And Nikki, when she's possessed, is not a role model for girls. That's psychotic. The fuck is wrong with you people? Thank you guys for watching.